Are you having an affair? Are you having an affair? Are you cheating on God? What do I mean by are you cheating on God? Well, I'll explain. When we look at our relationship with God, our relationship to Him can be compared to that of a marriage, of a husband and a wife. And in relationships, it takes two people, and it takes two people who are committed and willing to work on that relationship, who are devoted to ensuring that it's successful. When I ask, are you cheating on God? I want to know, are you neglecting your spouse? Are you neglecting your husband? And are you neglecting the things that you need to be doing in order to make this a successful relationship? Hi, this is One and She with Two Cute Life Lesson. And today we're going to talk about, are we cheating on God? Let's be honest with ourselves. Often we can find ourselves having an affair or cheating on God. And we cheat on Him when we put anything else in front of Him, when we make idols of other things. Who could possibly, or what could possibly be an idol? Well, your job can be an idol. When you make your job more important than serving God, it has become an idol in your life. When you cannot come to church or you can't worship, but you don't have the time you need in order to give God what God needs, and that's the intimacy with you, then you are cheating on Him. You are putting that job in head of Him. When we put our children in the head of God, when we say, my child needs this, my child needs that, I can't come to church, I can't worship, or we are spending so much time with our children that we're not spending that time with God, then we are making our children an idol. When we look at the prophet of Hosea in the Bible, we know God commanded him to marry a harlot. And if we need to break it down, a harlot was a prostitute or a woman who was of ill repute or who got around, who slept with his other men, who was intimate with other men. She cheated on her husband constantly. She cheated on him before he married her. And we know that because she's already called a harlot. He said, take you a wife of whoredom. So he told him basically, get you a woman who you know is not faithful, who runs around, and to marry her. And when we look at the story of Hosea, we know Hosea loved his wife. He loved her. He loved this woman, even though he knew her faults, even though he knew she was cheating on him. He loved her. And God uses this relationship as an illustration of His relationship with Israel, as His relationship with us, because God loved His people. And He wants us to do right. He wants us to spend that time with Him. He wants us to be devoted to Him. But oftentimes we get led astray by the things of the world, the things that we think are important, and they really are not. And just like this woman who cheated on Hosea, who ran around, who had children who were not his. But even after having these children that were not his, he raised them as his own. How can we equate that to our relationship with God? When we do the things that God has not told us to do, when we take jobs He's not told us to take, when we marry spouses He told us not to marry because He told us to not be unequally yoked, then sometimes God still takes them and blesses them anyway. God blesses our mess. He blesses our mistakes because He loves us, but not because He's silly or stupid or doesn't know any better. He blesses us anyway because He loves us. But don't be deceived. God is not marked what a man soweth, yes shall he reap. And He tells us this. He also tells us that if we put any God before Him, He's going to destroy it. He's going to take it. He wants our whole heart. He wants our love. Just like our spouse, our partner wants our heart, our love. God wants our whole devotion. He wants us to be so in love with Him, so into Him, just like He is into us. He gives 100% to this relationship, but what are we bringing to the bag? What are we bringing to the table? Are we bringing our whole self? Are we being sincere with God? Are we devoted to Him like we're supposed to be? Oftentimes the answer is not. And we bring God all this garbage. We bring God all this junk and we expect Him to bless it. But that's not how it works. We have to tune in completely to God. Just like we tune in to our spouse. Just like we make time to spend with Him. We read these books or buy these books and watch these videos trying to figure out how to make a relationship work, how to attract the perfect partner. We need to do the same thing with God. One, we have the perfect partner. He is the perfect partner. He is devoted to us. He loves us with his whole heart. And he wants us to love him with our whole hearts. He wants us to follow the rules. He tells that obedience is better than sacrifice. And so he wants us to obey his will. He wants us to follow his ways. When we say we're going to live the way God wants us to live, then we have to be devoted to him. So I ask you today, are you cheating on God? Are you having an affair? Are you giving other things your time, your money, your talent, other than God? So we want to make sure we don't do this. And we know Hosea's wife eventually is punished for all of this running around. She even leaves and she goes off and he finds her. And when he finds her, she's in terrible shape. When he gets her, he pulls her back to him. She's being sold as a slave, just like Israel was. How about us? When we become a slave to those addictions, to those habits, to those places, to those things that we've gotten involved with that we shouldn't have gotten involved with. But God still loves us. He wants us to come home. Just like the prodigal son father was constantly waiting on him to return home. God is waiting on us, his prodigal children, to return to him. Have there ever been a time in your life when you wandered away from God and you didn't do what God told you to do? Let me know in the comments below. And tell me what happened as a result of your behavior. I can talk from personal experience. I know there have been times when I wandered away from God and I did things that I knew that were not right. And I just wondered, and I've had those times when you do that, you feel a disconnect. I felt disconnected from God, and I was disconnected because I had ruined our relationship. So when we want our relationship with God to work, we have to make sure that we are reading his word. We're getting into his word. We're studying it. We're allowing it to soak into our minds, into our hearts. We're meditating on what he told us to do. We are going to that Bible class. We are, believe it or not, we're investing in education. We're investing in our knowledge. Whether we're buying and reading books that men and women have written about him, go get a book and read it. We're watching videos about him. We're not just come to show up on Sunday, leave on Sunday, go to work on Monday. We're a totally different creature. Not the new creature in Christ, but we're a totally different creature. When we have conversations, our conversations are not godly. We're cussing people out. We're misbehaving. They don't know me. We're rolling. I call it rolling our neck. Not everybody do that, but some people do. But when we're doing or exhibiting behavior that's not Christ-like, we are cheating on God. When we are doing the things that we know are wrong, we're selling out. Are we raising our children the way God told us to raise them? You know, we are responsible for our children's education. We're responsible for the way they are raised up, because it tells us in his word to raise up a child in the way we would have him to go. And he would not depart from it. God gave us a responsibility when he gave us our kids. He told us, he put us in charge of them to educate them. And so their lives, their Christian little lives are in our hands. And we want to make sure that we take good care of those lives. We want to make sure that we are not out doing anything that would disgrace God. Just like you don't want to go out and do stuff to embarrass your spouse. You don't want to do things to go out and embarrass your relationship or to cheat on God. We want to be faithful to him. We want to be honest with him because he knows our heart anyway. It says man looks at the outward appearance, but God looks at the heart. So let's make sure that we're not cheating on God today, that we're giving him our best and our all. And I listened to this lady, Extraordinarily Ordinary. I can't remember her last hot-ish phrase. But anyway, I watched her on Instagram. She's from Louisiana. And she was talking about, she did a reel where she got in her car and she was putting her makeup on. She was changing her whole appearance. And so they were asking her coworkers, said, well, what are you doing? Where are you going? She said, I'm getting ready to go home. They're like, you doing all that to go home? She said, yeah, because Boo is at home. Boo, her Boo. And she said, that's my husband. I'm getting ready for him. I'm putting off my teacher self and I'm putting on the new me. I'm putting on who I am for my husband. And so when we are putting our new self on for God, we want to get dressed up for God. We want to look good for God. We want to give God our all because he has done so much for us. We want to approach him with a spirit of gratitude. We want to approach him with a spirit of thanksgiving. And so today I ask you, Again, are you having an affair? Are you cheating on God? Ask yourself this question. And so if you are cheating on God, let the affair go. It's time to break up. Let's break up with these idols or things that we have in our life that are not befitting a Christian or a child of God. So I thank you guys so much for listening to Spin Wonder Shields with Took You Life Lessons, talking about, are we cheating on God? And I'll see you guys in the next video.